Hi guys, I'm Diane, and today I'm reviewing The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I got The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden through Nightingale in exchange for an honest review. The Bear and the Nightingale is a magical realism / fantasy story set in Russia. It follows a family living in a little town through twists and turns in their lives, and it especially focuses on the young girl of the family who we see growing up, but she is not what her society expects from a little girl and does not fit in, but is not in any way ashamed of it. There isn't very much world building done in the story because it's set in a world that's similar to ours. What was important in terms of world building, that there was a lot of words that stem from Russian words or like different names, and it can get a bit confusing, I think, if you don't pay close attention. But note that there's a glossary in the end of the book. I didn't know, and I had an ebook copy, so I didn't first flip to the back to check. But if you get confused, just know that there is a glossary, but I didn't need it at all. There's also a range of different characters in the novel, but most important is Vasia or Vasilia. We see a lot of changing of the names. Mostly everyone gets a nickname throughout the story, so that's the thing to mind. If names are like each other, it's probably the same person. Vasia and her family live in a little farm in the countryside, and although this is like a story about a family, it doesn't give us too much of a cliche family overview. Like, she is the girl who doesn't really fit in, but the characters aren't really too typical. She has older brothers, but they aren't just like the butch older brothers we are used to, I guess. The characters are all well-rounded, and we learn their strengths, but also their fears and their weaknesses, and I think that makes the story really realistic. The relationships in the story are very interesting as well. We see the friendship between the girl and a woman named Dunya, the relationship between the brother and sister, father and sons, but also the bonds which are forced upon people, not really crafted carefully, like that between Anna and Pyotr. It's kind of an arranged marriage, and they don't really love each other, but get to know each other better and still treat each other in a very okay way, I guess. I would describe the plot as being very loose. This is not to say that there isn't a main story, but we just get views into different aspects of so many different people's lives that it isn't always really clear where the story is going, but that's still fine because I was enjoying the views into the lives of all these different characters. And they also go to what I think is the capital city, so we see that for a while, and then we flash back to the people at home, and it just moves around a lot, and we get a lot of different perspectives, and I think that's really interesting. But there is magical realism in there, and you know there is, and that will eventually be the point, but it's woven in there so carefully that it isn't like full in your face fantasy. We get these little peaks of magic through the fairy tales Dunya tells the little children, and through the myths that are talked about and still believed in, the gods that need their offerings, and the creatures Vasia meets in the forest. We never really, you don't just stand still, I guess. And then towards the end of the story, it is very clear that the story is moving into the direction of the magical elements, and that is what is actually most important in their lives. I really can't think of very big, strong downsides to the story. I thought it was very well crafted. It is a bit of a slow-moving book, not in the sense that it doesn't grip you or you don't want to read on, but it isn't so suspenseful that you absolutely want to know what happens next the second you finish a chapter. It's just a slow building story because it looks at so much different elements, I think. If you are looking for a quick light read, maybe this isn't it, but it was definitely very interesting and in depth, I think. I think The Bear and the Nightingale will be a wonderful read for anyone who enjoys a bit of different cultures and mythologies, like stories in which multiple characters play a role and are very well crafted with a bit of magical elements thrown in there. I gave The Bear and the Nightingale 5 out of 5 stars, and it is definitely one of my new favorites. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!